The Peace Impact Programme is about engaging with marginalised communities and more specifically with young people who are at risk of being engaged with or being engaged by paramilitary activity. It is about engaging with communities who have partially or never engaged with peace and reconciliation activity in the past, and it's really about reaching out to those communities who feel that they've been left behind by the political or peace process. The Peace Impact Programme really has come about through the work that we have conducted as an organisation for 26 years. We've been working with a large amount of communities right across Northern Ireland and the southern border counties of Ireland, and we recognised that there were a group of communities, there were a group of young people, there were a group of organisations who had never engaged in peace and reconciliation in the past, and we felt these were the very much the communities who were at risk for those communities to engage. They wanted to move, they wanted to transform themselves, they just didn't have the opportunity to do so. Some of these communities will not engage or could not engage with statutory authorities or with other organisations. So our independent standing, our standing that we've grown over 26 years, allowed us to reach out to those communities, provide them with assistance that they needed to progress. So there are risks associated with implementation of these programmes, and one of the key strengths that the IFI has shown over its lifetime is that it can take the first steps. It can take the risk to develop these programmes, to show that these programmes can work. Funding is needed because funding was never really getting down to these organisations, and I think that is very clearly seen in the successes that we've had over 18 months. The resources that we can currently give to the Peace Impact Programme far outweigh what actually is required within these communities. The appetite that has been developed throughout the 18 months shows that there's a real desire by communities to progress. This programme interacts with statutory authorities and other agencies in much the same way as we've tried to develop our current strategic framework. In a sense, what we try to do is ensure that we take the communities to a certain point, but other statutory stakeholders and other organisations who have a role to play in progressing these communities do so. So we will engage with Department of Justice, we'll engage with other authorities who can provide the assistance for regeneration of these communities or provide educational opportunities or training opportunities. However, the success of this programme over the past 18 months has been phenomenal. There's 38 programmes now. The majority of those organisations are organisations that the IFI have never engaged with in the past before. So for us that was a fundamental success. However, there are numerous successes which are coming out from those projects themselves. For example, projects which are engaging with those marginalised young people most at threat from dissident activity, and we've seen 180 young people over the past 18 months who have had the threat of violence lifted from their lives due to this programme. The IFI measures the success of the Peace Impact Programme in numerous ways, both programmatic level but also at community level, and for us the success really will be the progression of these marginalised communities to the point where they feel they can engage both in terms of social development within their own communities but also economically. And it's very important for us as a success of this programme that the executive and other stakeholders do become involved longer term with these programmes to make sure they're sustainable, that they support the communities in the ways that they have to be supported. The impact that this is having can be felt, it can be seen, it can be heard, and we want to ensure that that continues into the future. The legacy of this programme will be the fact that young people will no longer get engaged with dissident activity, where those young people can identify that they have different opportunities open to them and will grasp those opportunities. The IFI would also like to see that marginalised communities would now become part of the political process and would see themselves playing a very active role in the future of the political process in Northern Ireland. The Peace Impact Programme engages with communities at the very start of their journey. We need to ensure that those communities are supported throughout the journey. It's vitally important for us as a society, it's vitally important for Northern Ireland, for the border counties of Ireland. It's vitally important for those communities and for the families themselves. Everyone has a role to play here. Statutory authorities have a role to play, funders have a role to play, and the communities have a role to play. The communities have stood up to that challenge that they have in front of them, and we should do it likewise.